Welcome to the Rockwood Board of Education meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the business of the district, hear reports about our progress, and listen to the community on important issues. We want to remind all of our visitors that we expect the audience to remain civil and respectful at all times as the board conducts this business. We appreciate your cooperation and that you took the time to attend tonight's meeting. And Bob, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. The first order of business is the approval of the agenda, and the motion is to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next is the motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for April 10th, 2025.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. We did not have patron comments tonight. But how about superintendent comments?
Thank you, President Midget. Phones are ringing across the Rockwood School District. Let me give you an example. Our annual community survey just came to close this week. We have a comprehensive school improvement plan survey that opened literally today and will close right around May 5th. We have an employee experience survey that will begin on May 5th and then close right around the 19th of May. We also have an upcoming item-specific survey that I want to speak to, and it speaks to the potential for a ballot item itself. So that survey actually began on the 22nd, which was on Tuesday of this week. And it's a survey that is designed to solicit patron feedback. It's a survey of district households that will provide insight into what our residents think about the district and potential financing for staff salaries and benefits, as well as additional safety personnel in the Rockwood School District. Participants will be selected totally at random, and all responses will be kept completely confidential. For those who are not contacted at or via the random phone survey, online versions are available for anyone who would like to participate. The online survey again will close on May 5th, and we are asking for our community to please answer this call or to take time to fill out the online survey and make sure that your voice is in fact heard. Up next, the Rockwood School District Strategic Plan Steering Committee held its 6th meeting at the Administrative Annex earlier this month, again in this room, as a part of our year-long process to help prepare for our new district strategic plan for 2025 through 2030. Community members had the opportunity to review drafts of goal areas for the new plan, to collaborate, and to add their input as well as provide some suggestions for revisions. At this point in the strategic planning process time itself, a draft plan and the Rockwood Promise are also being developed and will be shared with Rockwood patrons for feedback. So please visit the website at rsdmo.org/promise for more information, and thank you to those who have taken the time to provide feedback as we continue to focus to work on what we need to know so that we can help students learn and grow together in empowering each and every student in the Rockwood School District. Margaret Sullivan, who is not here this evening, but she does serve as Rockwood Summit's high school librarian and the lead librarian for our school district. She has been named the Missouri Association of School Librarians, MASL, School Librarian of the Year for 2024-2025. The Rockwood Summit Library also earned a Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Exemplary School Library Program recognition, and that is for the 5th of 5 consecutive years. Margaret was one of 11 librarians from around the state who are under consideration for the MASL award after earning recognition as a regional librarian of distinction, and that was back in January. And the Rockwood Summit Library was and is the only school library in the state to earn the DESE Exemplary Library status for 5 consecutive years. Let's give Margaret and that library a round of applause. Staying on the theme of recognition, Rockwood held its 7th annual Battle of the Books event on April 10th with 152 students from all 19 Rockwood elementary schools, in fact, participating. Each school was represented by 8 4th and 5th grade students. The trivia-style contest paired teams of students up against each other to test their knowledge about books designated as Mark Twain Award nominees. In 8 rounds of 10 questions, students responded to questions about books to test their reading comprehension, and this year, the team from Ellisville Elementary School accumulated the most points and was in fact declared the winner. So let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations. Back to books one last time. April is School Library Month, and April is a very busy time of the year, but it's important to recognize what happens in our libraries. And so we'd like to take time to thank all of our Rockwood librarians for their essential role in what they do in transforming student learning each and every day in our school district. And last for this evening, the work of Lafayette Jr., Luke Hinton, has been featured and won multiple awards, including in multiple state and regional and actually national art shows this year. Most recently, Luke had 2 pieces that were featured in the National K-12 Ceramic Exhibition, which was held in Salt Lake City, Utah, and earned 5 awards, including the Kansas City Art Institute Presidential Scholarship. Let's take a look at this video and actually take a look at his craft and his inspiration.
I'm Luke Hinton. I'm a junior at Lafayette High School, and I'm a sculptor. I like to sculpt a lot of historical things and historical characters, and I really like the Greeks and Romans. This is Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, the Greek goddess, if you're familiar with her. So I'll make the armature, and then begin adding clay slabs on, and sculpting at the main form. Next, I'll work on the fine details, like the eyes and the hair. So I've done a lot of throwing, sculpture, painting, drawing. But I really like sculpture because it's really fun to work 3D. It's a lot different than 2D. It gives me more of a challenge to do, and I enjoy a challenge. On one of my sculptures, the head completely fell off and it collapsed, so I had to re-sculpt it. I normally have the arms fall off because they extend outward, which is a lot of weight with clay, so that can happen, and you have to revise a lot. I really enjoy the fine details, like the eyes and her chest plate. It really stands out. I normally spray it because it brings out the form better, like you can see. But I usually use my hand or a sponge to smooth out the areas, so it'll be very smooth in the end. Then after you glaze it, it'll have a glass-like appearance, which is what will be the finish.
He loves art. He is extremely gifted, but it's more than that. He also hard worker. He has this open mind for learning and also humility, knowing that as good as he is, he could always get better.
I like to stick my signature in there in some unique way, like on the back of the helmet or somewhere where it's not too noticeable, but I would love to do this as a career when I grow up. And sell my work, have it exhibited in galleries. It would be great. And I enjoy it, which is great to do what I love.
Once in a while, you have some brilliant mind, somebody absolutely outstanding, and we definitely have that student this year, yes.
Congratulations, Luke. That's all I have, Madam President.
I just want to mention, I think, if you want to hold up the T-shirt. Several of us attended the Game of Champions at Ridge Meadows this past week, and it was just, it's Ellisville, Green Pines, Pond, and Ridge Meadows. And to watch the fifth graders interacting with the students and the games that they had, the whole school was involved, including the flexibility of some of the other classes to have to change positions and lunch times. It was truly heartwarming to see the interaction. So a lot goes into the planning. Thank you to our staff that were involved and everybody that participated. So you want to show them?
This is a different shirt.
Oh, that
This
isn't?
for special occasion.
Okay, but that's the same shirt they used that day.
Oh, is it really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well then I'll hold it out.
Yeah, it's see the able, not the label. That's the same shirt that they wore all day. So just, again, thank you to our staff that participated.
I stopped by as well, and I want to give a shout out to the adaptive PE teachers who were there and others that really made it happen. And some of the games that they came up with were just incredible and really a fun time for the kids. Although the weather could have been better, but they made the best of it. I also had an opportunity to go to Marquette High School for it was called the Poetry Slam, and listen to the students present their poems, and it was incredible, the heart and how they expressed their feelings and the acceptance they felt by their peers and the staff that were there. It was I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do that. So thank you to Marquette High School.
And then I was going to say, I got to go to the Lafayette Fine Arts Festival, and I believe some of Luke's work was there. And they had, kindergarten through 12th grade, and it was just amazing. There were live performances and some of that artwork. I mean, my first grader's art was nowhere near some of that high schooler work, so it was amazing to see that on display.
And tomorrow is the Lafayette's High School Special Olympics. Yeah.
And last night I had the honor of attending Eureka's awards banquet, and I am always amazed at the support of our community. But when you sit in the room and you have community organizations, businesses, and family foundations that support our kids to further themselves, whether it's in the tech industry or going to college, it's amazing. So I just jotted down a few. Thank you to the Elks, the Lions, there's multiple family foundations, RNEA, ADK, the Eureka Fire Department, the Masons, the Chamber of Commerce, Wednesday Club, PTO. That's just a sprinkling of the scholarships that were awarded at one of our high schools. So thank you to all those people that are supporting our kids.
All right. The motion is to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to mention 7.16, the public gifts. We had 2 gifts this month. For this, we had the Rockwood Summit High School Soccer Booster Club, who made a generous donation to support the girls' soccer program at that school. And the Masonic Lodge at Crestview Middle School made a sizable donation to support their school activities, specifically their sensory and motor lab in the school's library that will provide an area for sensory and motor skill development. And so again, both the community and our schools are reaching out. We want to thank our parents and community and supporters for their efforts to maximize our student in a very significant learning environment.
Any further discussion? If not, we will take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Say no. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Agenda item 8.01, National School Nurse Day Proclamation. I'm going to read the motion, and then the motion is to approve the Board of Education proclaim May 7th, 2025 as National School Nurse Day. And Sarah will be reading the proclamation for us.
So moved. Somebody want a second?
Second.
Discussion. Sarah will be reading the
Whereas students are the future, and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school. And whereas all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas students today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care in school. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring students' academic success for more than 120 years. And whereas school nurses address the home and community factors that impact students' health. And whereas school nurses are professional nurses that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students by serving on the front lines and providing a critical safety net for our nation's most fragile children. And whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of the children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. And whereas school nurses are members of school-based teams like School Health Services, 504 IEP, Disaster Emergency Planning, and provide care coordination to address the school population. And whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. Therefore, be it resolved that the National Association of School Nurses celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and their efforts to meet the needs of today's students by providing and advocating for quality student-centered care, and offers gratitude for the nation's schools nurses who contribute to our local communities by supporting students to stay healthy, in school, safe, and ready to learn, and keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on this National School Nurse Day, but in every opportunity throughout the year. Therefore, we, the Rockwood School Board of Education, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 as School Nurse Day.
Amy Weir is here to also talk to us.
Just real briefly, I wanted to offer my thanks to all of you for your continued support. Dr. King and my fabulous upline, Dr. Steve Jenkins, who is an amazing person to work for. So our school nurses really appreciate all of your support. And just real quickly, I was going to tell you that we've to date end of March seen about 140,000 visits to our school nurses' offices, with all the 5% of those kiddos returning to the learning environment. And that's a real steady number for us.
I'm
Say
sorry,
that number
Patty.
again.
The number,
The number.
just shy of 140,000 as of the end of March, and 63,000 medications administered.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry if 100,000 of those was my family.
Probably not. Oh, I had a frequent flyer. We have a lot of friends who like their nurses. And by the way, that proclamation is your initiation into the school, so welcome.
We really you guys give them the love when they need it. And it's,
We have one principal that refers to it as some of them just need a little fluff and buff.
Fluff and buff, that's funny. Yeah. Any further discussion? Okay. Yes, absolutely. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Thank you, Amy. 0.02, problem issue need for policy 3170, and the motion is to approve the review of policy 3170, purchasing.
So moved.
And discussion, and Cindy Boyes is going to join us.
So, there are several reasons.
There we go. Several reasons that we're taking a look at this policy tonight and asking for it to be examined further, and that is, it's been discussed in our capital planning advisory committee. It's been discussed in our strategic plan meetings, and there's been quite a bit of agreement that the policy needs a little bit of clarification, but also we could get some efficiencies here. Our threshold for board approval of purchases is very low compared to neighboring school districts. We've got a chart in there, one of the attachments, Brad, if you wanted to put that up. So we are, there we go. There we go. So in the fiscal responsibility section of our strategic plan meetings, we talked about this. So you can see that Rockwood has the lowest threshold. We could have a lot of efficiency in our purchasing where we didn't have to wait for the next board meeting and could just go ahead and get things purchased, get things done. Another piece of the policy gives the superintendent authority to purchase items for emergencies up to $25,000. Well, $25,000 doesn't cover very many emergencies in this school district, and so we're asking for both a change to make it so that any insurance claims, which are very highly scrutinized by our insurance examiners or our claims people, so that we could go ahead and purchase those without having taken them to the board, and emergency purchases up to $100,000. So tonight we're just asking for it to be looked into. I think that's what the motion is.
Right.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment on this if I could, because I've actually talked quite a bit at the capital planning committee about this. So Cindy's nodding her head going, yes, Bob, I heard you before. When we look at our principals and our superintendents, these folks are, if you look at the commercial world, the civilian sector, executives in charge of their space. But they can't ask for spending $7,500 that's already budgeted. Let me be very clear about that. That's already in the budget without coming back to us. That's just a lot of bureaucracy that probably made sense at the time we passed it and where inflation was where we passed it. But today I think we've grown out of that and we need to loosen this up a little bit. Not to take away from the district's stellar financial record, but to make us more efficient for things that we've already approved as part of the budget. I also agree completely with Cindy's comments about, if we have emergency approvals the superintendent needs to approve, that should be things he has to come back to us to talk about after the fact. So I'm not at all saying that, it's approval and move on. It's come back to us. But it's enough to allow him to get things done, and he needs to get done in an emergency situation. So I wholeheartedly support both as a member of the Capital Planning Committee and also as the Policy Review Committee.
I was just going to say that.
That we should approve this to allow this to go forward.
I want to build on something, though, that Bob, that you're just mentioning, and that is some wording that I don't think you have in the revision. And if you look at the top schools, the wording about the CFO approves purchases that comply with the BOE approved budget. And I think that needs to be in there, because that does infer that those higher amounts are within the approved budget, and that wording doesn't appear in there anywhere.
So
So I feel pretty strongly about that.
Cindy, can you kind of go over the process here so that we're approving the problem issue need for
Right.
then this to go to the policy committee, correct?
Right, so
Correct.
you're approving tonight for it to go to the Policy Review Committee, and we can, and that was a good comment, Tammy, we'll take that, take that and see where we can fit that in. Now, those top 5 school districts there are not requiring any board approval of anything beyond the budget.
Right.
That's what that says. We're still requiring board approval of everything, and we're suggesting that the threshold be 25,000. So, not even going to the 50,000, and definitely not going to budgetary approval carries all the weight. We're just saying that everything's going to be approved in the very same manner, all the same purchasing policies in place. Just what comes to the board in the consent agenda, as a board consent agenda item, instead of being everything over 7,500, it'll be everything over 25,000.
So you'll be bringing
So
back.
we're not changing anything else.
So you'll
there.
bring back the revised, the marked up, I guess it's not the right terminology, policy.
Redlined.
Red line 3170 for purchasing, right?
Right,
Right.
because
Yes.
we're asking to review this off-cycle.
Right.
So we need the board's permission to review it off-cycle.
And I have a question from the Finance Committee. Is there a reason why you chose the $25,000 threshold versus 50? What was the reasoning behind that? Does it
Yeah.
have to do with our auditing process?
Well, we looked at our actual data of what comes through, and changing it just to 25,000 reduces the amount of items that have to be pre-approved by the board by about 70%. And so we felt like 70% was a good step in the right direction. We're not trying to drop it to only a couple of things here and there. We want the board to still have an important part in these approvals. So, so we're proposing 25,000.
And I mean, I think we all can agree our district is fairly conservative financially. So part of our discussion was, is this the area we want to be out leading the pack? Probably not. But where did we hit kind of that knee in the curve of we get rid of a lot of the bureaucracy with still the right amount of administrative oversight? So these things are still going to be reviewed by the procurement process. They're still going to be reviewed by Cindy and her team, all right? But for most of the orders that come in around $7,500, how often do we actually disapprove any of those? So we're trying to streamline the process, do a little bit of an improvement, but still keep the controls on so we can maintain our oversight as a board.
I would just like to point out that, we're talking about the fiscal conservative approach. Kind of on the other side of that coin, leaving it at 75 is actually not super fiscally conservative, because man hours equal money, and as I pointed out to you the very first time we met about the procurement, that I felt like we were kind of squandering a lot of man hours by bringing all of those things to the board. As Bob said, how many times do we ever not approve those because we already approved them once? And so we're not going to, no one's going to be approving anything that we didn't previously approve in the budget. So I'm all for it. And I mean, if you had said 50,000, I wouldn't have blinked an eye at that either.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to point out that the policy that's attached to this agenda item is the current policy. The red line policy will be coming
Right.
Saturday.
Right.
You'll see that version.
Thank you. So the motion is to approve the review of policy 3170, purchasing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is the early childhood program update, discussion only. David Herod. Good evening.
Let me get situated. Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm really excited to be able to provide an overview of Rockwood Early Childhood Program, really discuss what we're about, where we're growing, and really talk about some of the highlights from this year. So about 3 years ago, we assembled our whole staff and we talked through something really meaningful, which would be our mission statement. So we were just coming out of the COVID hole and looking around and seeing the landscape has completely changed, and we were really reflecting, and it was a good time to just kind of start something new and fresh, and what do we want to be known for? What do we want to be about? And so we had lots of meaningful discussions, lots, and over the course of a year, maybe a little more, we finally landed on a shared vision that we could really say captures the heart of Rockwood Early Childhood. And that's really embedded in that logo there, where all children will grow to their unique potential in a fun, safe, and collaborative learning community. So it's something we're really proud of, and we find ourselves coming back to it time and time again to make sure we're coming into alignment with that mission. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little bit of an overview before we get into some of the finer details. So Rockwood Early Childhood, we have early childhood services provided all over the district at 7 locations. We have 3 main early childhood centers: Clarkson Valley, which is right next door to Crestfield Middle School, and then Eureka Early Childhood, which is right across the highway at the former Eureka Elementary building, and then Vandover Center, which is over in Fenton. And then in addition to all that, we have a preschool classroom in each of our high school locations. So all that, 7 sites, all that together, we serve and welcome between 950 and 1,050 young learners each year. They're supported by a dedicated team of over 240 staff members. And play is really the central thing of what we do at Rockwood Early Childhood. We have play-based curriculum. Our classrooms are rich with play-based approaches that really foster growth across all developmental areas. Our teachers do a really good job at creating hands-on, meaningful activities for children to really explore, problem solve, and just really build those meaningful connections to the world around them. So we've seen in that kind of setting, that kind of intentional play schemes, that our students really advance and thrive through the 3 years that we have them and become superstars. So half day, full day, early childhood special education, mini preschool, parents and teachers, those are like the programs underneath the Rockwood Early Childhood umbrella. And so tonight I'm really going to focus on the preschool programs. About 2 months ago, back in early February, we had an update on the Parents and Teachers program. So tonight we'll really just be focused on the preschool. So we'll start with our half-day preschool program. It is a fee-based program, an option for families. It is provided at all 3 early childhood centers. We have 8 classrooms currently that provide 3-hour sessions, either morning or afternoon, and it really helps families with some flexibility to pick what's important for them, what can meet their needs. Each classroom has a certified teacher and a teacher assistant, and they really do a good job of promoting a nurturing, warm environment for those half-day students. And we have up to 14 students in each session. Full-day preschool, it's also a fee-based program. It's designed more for families looking for that consistent full-day learning experience for their children. We have 8 classrooms across the district, 4 at our high schools, and then 1, like I mentioned earlier, at each of our, 4 at our centers, and 1 at each of our high school locations. So the high school locations really serve kind of a dual purpose. 1, they provide high-quality early child experience for all of our preschoolers. And 2, it's kind of like a lab classroom for the high school students that are in child development courses. It gives them really hands-on, meaningful experience working with our young children. And then full day runs Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. as you see, and there's a little bit of before care and after care embedded in that schedule. And then our classrooms have a certified teacher, teacher assistant, and classroom aide, and we have up to 18 students in each classroom. Mini preschool, very unique to Rockwood Early Childhood. It is a supportive introduction to school for our students and our youngest learners ages 30 to 36 months. It's a time for them to really learn those early learning skills, social interaction, social interaction, and really just being able to separate from caregivers. That's typically when we know mini preschool starting, we hear a lot of crying because they're their first time separating. So I am usually aware of that, and we're working around it. But it's a really good stepping stone to help those students go from the home setting into a more structured preschool setting. And oftentimes, our mini preschool students go on to our half-day and full-day programs and do really, really well. And then special education. So a key distinction of our early childhood program is that we house our own special education department. It's no cost, it's grant funded. It allows us to be able to provide specialized support and high quality services to all children that receive special education services. It is no cost, so if a child receives an IEP and qualifies for an individual education program, it's at no cost. And we have a couple service delivery models that we use. Most often it's the half-day setting. So if a child receives services and qualifies, they get like specialized instruction in a half-day setting. That's from a special education teacher. And then we have itinerant level services. So itinerant services are specialized professionals that we have. Could be an early childhood special education teacher that travels, a speech language pathologist, or other professionals that will deliver targeted instruction or therapy in area daycares and preschools within the Rockwood boundary. So we have a very dedicated team, probably our largest team within the whole Rockwood Early Childhood program, that just does a great job providing those individual supports and services. And then a little keynote there, we have a dedicated diagnostic team. A couple years ago, we were spread out all over the program, and we consolidated into one location here at Eureka Early Childhood, and it's been streamlined, and they're really kind of the gatekeepers for doing the initial eligibility, child find, and providing students with the special education classrooms. And then some recent highlights. We know that we're the first experience for many of our families from the Rockwood School District. And so because of that, we place a really big emphasis on creating a warm, welcoming, and inclusive environment. And so an example of that is that Celebration of Nations. It's an annual event that we host, and the timing couldn't be better. We have it tomorrow night. So I encourage you, if you wanted to, drop by Clarkson Valley around 5:30, 5:37. It's a really rich cultural diversity highlight that we look forward to every year. Our families, it's very well attended, a really joyful time, really brings our community together. And then a professional highlight last is the Educational Benefit Review. This was for our special education teachers and therapists back in August. We assembled them together, and it was a full day of professional learning. We brought in 2 DESE consultants who delivered this comprehensive, intensive training, and it was extremely well received. So what happened, we would have each of our teachers and therapists would go through the educational history of a child that's been in our program for the 3 years. So they did deep dives into the evaluations, into each IEP year by year. And so when they see the big picture, the question was, did that child receive educational benefit? So it was incredible professional learning, probably the best I've seen in my 23 years, and it was echoed by our staff as well. So full day training. It's just another example of how we really try to reflect, refine, and offer what we can to staff so we can raise the bar for staff and students. Okay, that was kind of a jet tour through Rockwood Early Childhood. We are a big, vibrant, essential part of the district. We are really proud of the work we do, and we're committed to continuing to come alongside our families and students that we serve each year. So if you have any questions.
I do. Thank you so much. That was very comprehensive. You mentioned that you had a class size of 14 students in your half day. What about your full day?
Full day is 18.
18.
Up to 18, yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned that there's grant funding for special education. Where does that grant funding come from? Is it in jeopardy of any of the political fields?
So that comes from the state of Missouri. And so it's been around since the mid-90s, and there's no discussions of that being jeopardized at this point. The only requirement is that we have funding sources we have to meet, funding structure, that we have to meet. So we have a very detailed caseload for each of our teachers and therapists, and as long as we're at or under that caseload, we get the 100% reimbursement. So no discussions. We've been at some DESE meetings, and there's discussions,
so we are
but
paying
nothing
attention
that's
to it, is
coming.
my point.
I'm sorry?
We are paying attention to that.
We are paying close attention.
Okay.
I just want to say I appreciate your comment that you're the first exposure a lot of parents get to Rockwood, and so I appreciate you paying attention to that aspect of it. And whether it was the Parents as Teachers program that we got briefed on before or these, I just want to say thank you to you and your staff for the job you are doing. I think our community very much appreciates it, and I know we all do very much, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
as a current parent, I echo, you said the word joyful, and it is like, my daughter, like the superstar is my behavior management plan at home, because like, what would a Rockwood superstar do? It's her favorite thing in the world. So you guys are just amazing, and the play is so fun, and the centers, and it's been the best year. It's
I
amazing.
smiled at the pizza station, because both my boys went through Rockwood Early Childhood, and that was like one of their favorite units when they did the pizza unit with the play. So they loved that unit. And Rockwood Early Childhood has been around a long time. In fact, I was one of the first years that Rockwood Early Childhood started. So I went to early childhood education.
You did?
In Rockwood, yeah. So
Well, they
it's been
got better
around a
after that, didn't
long
they?
time. I was going back. I'm like 77, 78. I don't know if that's aging me, but at Westridge Elementary School, they had an early childhood classroom there. So, yeah.
So I applaud Rockwood for doing their own special education program within their early childhood realm. Majority of districts in St. Louis County do not do that. They have special school district. So I think it's extremely important that Rockwood continues, and I'm sure they will, that process.
Great. Thank you. All right, I appreciate you guys' support, and if you have time, drop by tomorrow night, Clarkson Valley, 5:30. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Parkway Rockwood Community Education Update. It's a joke. With Mike Seppi.
Well, hello. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Kane, Ms. Sadowski. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to share with you what I think is a great update on some really great things happening in community ed. But before I do that, hot off the press, you are the first ones to publicly know this, because we just found out this week. So the Learning Resource Network is a national association of community ed programs in public schools, and it's an organization that we work with a lot when we're looking at identifying best practices around the country as it relates to community ed. They also work with community colleges, higher ed, Parks and Rec, anyone who does lifelong learning. Just this week, Parkway Rockwood Community Ed has been recognized as a top 10 community ed program in North America. So we are very excited. So this is a big deal for a lot of reasons in our world. But criteria to be recognized in the top 10, it's a three-pronged approach: excellence in programming, innovative contributions to the field, and sharing expertise among our peers. But then beyond that, the recognition also noted that we in Parkway Rockwood Community Ed excel in needs assessment, digital communication, developing new processes, and other best practices and innovation in the field of community ed. So this doesn't happen without the 350 plus people who do all the programs that I'm about to talk about. This is all a credit to their dedication, the hard work that they do every day. So very excited to be able to share this. I'm sorry I wasn't able to include it in my presentation because we just got it this week, but you will soon be seeing it everywhere. So exciting news for sure. Okay, so with that, I will jump into it. All of the pictures you're about to see tonight, none of them are stock photos. Those are all actual people from our programs. So I won't read through everything on all of these slides. I just want to highlight a couple things on each one. On this slide, I would just acknowledge we are currently in year 11 of the partnership between Parkway and Rockwood. The current agreement runs through June 30th of 2034. As it relates to the power of partnership, anytime I get a chance to talk about what we do in community ed, I always show this slide. This is something that was created before the partnership started as we were in planning, because we thought this would happen, and here we are 11 years later. What I can tell you is that we have seen enhanced and expanded experiences for patrons of both districts. So we're excited for what we do. It is a national model. We're being recognized. We're pleased to be able to offer great experiences for the community. When we look at last fiscal year, FY24. What you'll see at the top of the screen there is kind of a running tally of the last 5 years. And so these are total seats filled. It's important to note when we talk about providing services, we look at seats filled. And so these are people who have paid to be in a seat. And it varies by program. So if we look at Adventure Club, you sign up one time for the entire school year. But if you take swim lessons, you might take 6 sessions in a row. That's 6 seats filled. So when you're looking at those numbers up there, those are not unique individuals, those are seats filled. You will notice a drop from FY23 to 24. You'll notice the second bullet point there. You might recall that we have a partnership with Missouri State Parks to operate the Babbler Outdoor Ed Center up in Babbler State Park, which is a great facility. And we had our lead person staffing found a new job and left us in November of 23, and it took us to last summer to fill that. So what happened was we just had a gap in service. As with a lot last year, lots of folks were looking for staff, and so it took us some time to find the right person, but what I can tell you is the person we have now is fantastic. And we already have seen this paying off this spring. We've had a pretty full calendar out at the park. We're looking good for summer and even heading into next fall. So I do anticipate we'll see a good rebound in these numbers for FY25 as it relates to Babbler. And then down below, I won't go through all of those, but I tried to pull out just a couple just to give you an idea of where we stand on some of our bigger programs that are probably more visible. All I will call attention to is those are numbers as of April 14th. So specifically that bottom line with the adults, that's still happening. We don't anticipate a lot more between now and the end of the fiscal year, but we will see that number go up just a little bit because we still have some programs that are open for registration. Our largest program, as you may know, is Adventure Club, so I did want to take a minute and just kind of share some details with you on this, and this is actually great news. So where we stand, again, as of April 14th, in Rockwood, we had a total of 1,084 active contracts across all the elementary schools. We only had 14 people on the wait list, and if you've been around and know anything about Adventure Club, I can tell you in my 19 years here, we've never seen that. Part of that is because we do see lower overall numbers since the pandemic. But second, which I'm more excited about, is our staffing update. But what I did just want to call attention to, we are at 98, or almost 99% full. Everyone who is registered is in. And I will tell you, of those 14, 7 of them signed up after March 1st. So they just recently signed up. So we've been doing some really great stuff. And it's really the staff in Adventure Club. They've been working their tails off. So we made a conscious effort this year to work on our staffing because that's always our largest problem, and we're seeing great progress. So we have raised the entry point thanks to your support over the last several years. We are now at $15 an hour. I won't read through all those, but we've really diversified how we get the word out that we're hiring. So whether it's social media or the yard signs you've probably seen in front of a lot of the schools, it's paying off. One of the things we did kind of flip, and I'll talk a little bit about this maybe later, but we flipped the way we handle our recruiting. So rather than go fill out the application first and then we'll talk to you, that application, especially on the support staff side, can be a little cumbersome, especially if you're talking about part-time, very, oftentimes seasonal employees. And so we flipped that. And so what we've done now is we've created essentially an interest form. So people can text hire me to our phone number. We will send them a link to an interest form. They fill out a very short form. That generates us sending them a link to an automated interview scheduling system where they can pick their schedule time, they come in and meet with us. So we do the interviewing kind of up front. I would call it more of an interest because they're looking for a fit, we're looking for a fit. And if that's successful, then we start to go through the formal process. And so we've been seeing a really great result in terms of our ability to, one, explain what the jobs are actually about. But then 2, we know the people that then are going to move forward in the application process, our capture rate is higher. And so just to give you an idea, this year alone, just in Adventure Club, we've received over 700 of these interest forms, which is really great. And across Community Ed, we've received almost 1,500 of these forms. Why that's important is because as of April 1st, year to date, we have hired 302 people in Community Ed, but we've termed 336. It's a very churn program for the most part, lots of turnover. So this is probably why if you're looking at BoardDocs and going, man, more people, this is why. We almost have to rehire most of our staff every year. It's just the nature of the business. And so this process is working. We're really having great success, and we're seeing it now. And so pleased that we're able to get families in the program. Okay. Love this slide anytime I get a chance to talk about community ed. David was talking about serving young families, as does community ed. So where we stand today, believe it or not, across 45 different locations, we have over 2,500 participants. A lot of those are Adventure Club. But our youngest is 1-year-old, taking an infant swimming class, and our oldest is doing chair yoga. So and water walking. So the point of this slide is to show community ed is an opportunity for a school district to connect with all segments of the population. So whether that's families who don't yet have school-age children, families who no longer have school-age children, or maybe never have had school-age children, it's a way for us to make those connections. And anything we can do to strengthen the relationship between the residents of the community and the district is a positive and a win for everyone. So we're happy to be able to do that. You may recall we've had some conversations over the last, I'd say, 18 months or so about the swim clubs. And so we have been moving forward with the Parkway Swim Club and the Rockwood Swim Club combining into one. And here in the last month, we have announced the name and logo for the new club. You may have seen this. So as we head into next swim season, which will start in August, the combined club will be called Parkway Rockwood Gateway Swim Club. We do have swimmers who join us from all over the St. Louis area. It was important to recognize this is a community-wide program. And so we have put the logo out, the name out. We've also, recently at a board meeting, you all have approved the head coach for next year. So we're pleased about that. And we're currently in the process of finalizing our full-time coaching roster. So that will be coming here probably in the next month, so you'll see that as well. So we are on track. These coaches have been doing great work working together. You can sort of feel the energy building now and the excitement about where this is headed. And so some of the things that are happening right now, we are continuing to plan. As I mentioned, the club will officially kick off. The season starts in August. So while fiscally, with the fiscal year, it'll be July 1st. The actual swim season won't start till mid-August. And so a lot of work to have happen still, which is bullet pointed there. What I do want to call attention to is that very last bullet point. So throughout this entire process over the last few years, we've created a web page that provides ongoing FAQs. And so we update that constantly when we have updates, so that anyone who is interested in knowing where things stand as this club comes to fruition can go and get information. Okay, so last slide. As we're looking ahead to FY26 and beyond, there's some great things that are happening, and I'll just call attention to a few of those. One is we're always focused on continuous improvement. I think some of that's recognized in the recognition we've just received from Learn, but it's something that we understand that we're asking people, because we are a fee-based, we are a self-funded department that relies on fees for programming to cover all of our costs, salaries, benefits, all of these things. We know that people are have an option to choose where to spend their discretionary income, and we want it to be with us. So it's important for us that we're providing value for what people are paying for. And so that's why continuous improvement is just ingrained, and it's something that we kind of feel like if we're standing still, we're going backwards. So we're committed to continuous improvement. We have done something which I'm really excited about. We have about 25 people in our main office who represent all the various areas of community ed. And so every one of them serves on a department-wide committee, and you'll see the three committees that we have. All of those are focused on how can we get better? How can we get better in the way we recruit? You heard me say we need 300 and some odd staff a year. How do we retain those staff more than we're doing now? How do we provide a better and enhanced customer experience? And then in everything that we do, we know all of our processes can always get better. So we have these three committees that everyone serves on one, and we're all working together to say, how do we get better? I am excited, that second last bullet point, we have been doing a needs assessment this year on our middle school programming, because that's a deficiency. That's an area where we can do better. And so part of that, what a needs assessment does is allow the community to tell us what they want rather than us think we know what they want. And so that involves all kinds of stuff that you might imagine, surveys and all that. But we just did last week we asked folks who would like to participate in focus groups. So we met with middle school families last week who gave us some great feedback, and we're really excited. We're kind of in the process of putting all that together now, but we're looking to bring to fruition some of these new program ideas starting in the fall. So we're excited about that. And then lastly, I did mention the Babbler Outdoor Ed Center. I do just want to call attention to that for just a moment. We do have a partnership with Missouri State Parks. We were recently approached by the parks on a new opportunity within the OEC. There is something called specialty use permitting, and that's terminology in the world of state parks. But what that means is tent camping. And so they have approached, there's an area within the OEC that they would like to see us be able to offer that as an opportunity to the community. So think maybe scout groups, or even just small groups who went to tent camp versus staying in heated cabins. And so the state has just gone through the approval process on their end. And so what that would mean is we will need to bring an amended agreement with the state back because it changes what's happening at the facility. So you can expect that will probably be forthcoming in the next couple months. But what I like about that is it allows us to continue to expand on those opportunities we're able to offer. So we're excited about that. And that, again, that should be coming here in the next couple months. So with that, that's everything I have. I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mike, I'm assuming Rockwood Thunder is still thriving. That
They
was
are
something I
thriving.
didn't see in there. I mean,
Yes.
we hear all about them, but I'm just assuming,
We just had 4 teams qualify for nationals over the weekend. So yes,
Awesome.
they are
Awesome.
thriving.
Well, I just want to say, as a participant over the years, I have a senior, and I've been pulling pictures from kindergarten or pre-K all the way through, and it's really fun to see all the community ed opportunities, whether it was a get-against with mom and son. Ben tried fencing at one time because he thought he was going to be a fencer. The basketball team, my husband likes to say that's why Eureka did so well, because he coached basketball when they were in first grade. So we have sure enjoyed all the opportunities that were afforded to us through community ed. So you have a great department.
Thank you.
Mike, I have a question. You mentioned that there's like over 2,500 participants.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have statistics as to how many of those are Rockwood Parkway residents
Yeah.
and others?
Great question. Yes, we do. And I don't have them in front of me. However, our registration actually allows us, it geo-tracks their home address by what school district they live in. And so that's also part of how the partnership agreement is set up in terms as it relates to financials. So any costs that are ultimately borne by either Rockwood or Parkway are only attributed for the cost of those participants that live in that
And
district.
do we have member and non-member fees?
We do not,
We
no.
do not do that.
We do not, no.
Like I know some
Yeah.
like St. Louis Community College has fees, non-fees, and things like that.
What we do have, though, for our adult programming, we started, we've grown. We have something called the Gold Card Program. So anyone who is now age 50 or older, we lowered that from 60 to 50 this year. It's a free program, and they essentially get 50% off almost all community ed programs. And then we started a program called Silver Card. So we know that, let's use Pacific, for example. A lot of folks in Pacific drive through Rockwood. So if you don't live in the district, Silver Card gets you 15% off programs.
Do you honor silver sneakers?
It is not a program that we're part of, but 50 and up, I mean, folks, it's a free program. All they have to do is give us a call or an email, and they're in.
Okay. Calling you.
Yeah. You get a nice card, too. I'm almost there, too. I get it.
Just as kind of a testimonial to how community ed has positively affected my family, both my kids participated in various classes as young kids, swim classes, basketball, and then as they were coming up through elementary school, they were part-time, as needed kids that went to Adventure Club, and they loved it, and it really it was really kind of a godsend to our family from time to time. Even though their mother taught at the school at their elementary where they went, there were just times when something would happen and she had to be gone, or she was out and I had to bring them up early before I went to Lafayette. And it was just such a wonderful thing to know that there was some place that we could drop the kids off, or they could go after school We didn't have to worry about it. We didn't have to worry about them being safe. We didn't have to worry about them being happy because they loved it the whole time. And then kind of one step further, and something I think maybe people don't think about so much, and this speaks to the recruitment of staff for Adventure Club. My older daughter, that was kind of her gig through high school and even into college a little bit, was working at Adventure Club, and I think it really solidified her decision to go in to have a career in education. And she really found her niche as far as, you know, being able to work with kids through that. So I think sometimes we think about the benefit to the participants, but it is a great benefit to the employees as well. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
And I just want to end by saying I want to appreciate the board for your ongoing support. I mentioned, yes, it's our staff, it's everyone, but ultimately it's also the continued support of the board to help make us successful. So thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. 8.05, we're going to have a report or an update from the Communication Outreach and Public Engagement Committee, COPE.
Tammy is going to start. She can find her notes.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, we met, and first thing we did was we reviewed, say that fast, the data collected from our Student Advisory Committee that we met on March 13th, specifically around highly qualified staff and safe and caring schools. And the responses from our students were, again, spot on. They were honest, insightful, in talking about what they believe to be the advantages of our staff and how they felt safe in our schools. So we are reviewing, we don't just meet with the students, we review the data, we share that data with them, and then that information goes to our CSIP strategic planning so that their voices are being heard. And I think that's important for our students and community to recognize. We're planning our agenda for May 15th, which will be our last evening with them. We're going to
this year?
For this year. Yeah. And we will be sharing this information from the feedback from that last meeting. And we'll talk about the positive effects of the Student Advisory Committee. We want to know what is working for them, what could we do differently, what could we take away, how can we make this more effective for them in terms of giving them a voice and to be heard. And then we're going to do a little surprise for our seniors. So.
And those of you that attend regularly, you might have noticed that we've had some presentations this year regarding transitions. So the COPE committee has annual themes. So our theme for next year is going to be partnerships. And that's what we're looking at. And so our 4 prongs are partnerships with our first responders, partnerships with our parents, partnerships with businesses, and then partnerships with our faith-based organization. And what we're really looking forward to is bringing those partners in to our board meetings and presenting alongside the schools or the different staff members at our board meetings. And then we also had a little bit of a discussion about COPE and relations to our governance, and possibly looking at our structure for our work sessions. And we know that we're going to bring that forward at the June work session meeting. But one of the pieces is just being systematic about who's attending what, where they're going, being, whether Tammy's going to be assigned to Eureka for Chamber of Commerce, things like that. So just to have some more time, if you have ever been around us, we're a board that likes to talk, and we feel like we would like to have some more opportunities to have some work sessions to get some work done.
Thank you so much. Next is 9.01, proposed agenda for the May 1st, 2025 board meeting. And yes, that is next week. (9.02) Future agenda presentations and events to attend. I say this every time we meet. It is busy, 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 but it is a wonderful time of the year, and so grateful that people reach out to us to include us in their different activities and celebrations. So hope that continues. Anything else from anyone? Yes, Tammy.
I just really, from the board, I want to give a thank you to Janet Sadowski for being our professional administrative assistant, because she keeps us in place, let me tell you. But I just want to give her a round of applause. Thank you, Janet.
We refer to Janet as the GOAT, and there's no doubt about that, the greatest of all time. So,
It's very well deserved.
and with that, the meeting is adjourned.